Following up on some of the stuff you said in Chicago with regard to Coach Osborne, I'm just kind of curious, as you're trying to get the program turned around, is there any part of you that kind of wants to do it for Coach Osborne?
Yeah, every time we put the jerseys on when I was playing, we were doing it for the guys that came before us and the guys that were going to come after us. And we talked about that. I talked about that with Jason Peter the other day. Tradition's a wonderful thing when you have it. And we have it here because of guys like Coach Osborne. Might just be me, but I think he's looked healthier and happier the last few months. He's been in the building at least once a week. Wish he'd be around more, but he's such a good guy. He doesn't want to feel like he's getting in the way, so he's going to be there for us if we need him as a resource. But I've spent a lot of my life trying to make people like Coach Osborne proud, and I won't stop now.
Coach, one of your biggest goals, obviously, during the offseason was conditioning, drills, getting the team, bigger and stronger. It seems that's been paying off so far. So now as you approach the practices backing up to the regular season, is that area going to still be a focus, or what changes will there be for conditioning or drills?
We've had about as good an offseason as we could have had. We've stayed healthy. We've added some pieces to the roster. All you have to do is look at our guys right now to see that there was a big difference in the strength and conditioning program. Again, I've said this before, but Zach Duvall is as good as there is in the country. I love his tie back to Husker Power. We're getting that right. It's time to see how much ground we've made, and it's time to make that improvement come to life on the practice field. It's time to prove it. That being said, we're going to lift, I'm sure, harder during the season than they did last year. I think that's kind of inevitable if we lift. I remember going to bull sites 13 days beforehand and taking the whole weight room down with us and it making a difference. Our aim isn't going to be to get stronger during the season. It's going to be to make sure that we don't lose what we've gained through winter conditioning and summer conditioning.
Along those lines, saying things have gone about as well as they could conditioning-wise, does that go for about everything? I mean, has this off-season been about as good as you could expect? And do you believe in off-season momentum?
No, off-season momentum's for newspapers and fans on websites. Like I said, it's time to prove it. I hope our guys are ready for that. I think they're going to have more confidence going into this year because of the way they look, the way they feel, the way they can move, how much stronger they are. I think they're a tighter-knit group now. So the off-season's gone well, but it doesn't really matter until the rubber hits the road and we get tested. And then we need to see if the progress that we made is going to make a difference.
Are there any roster updates that you can share with us this time?
No, I think, nothing happens around here without everybody knowing. We kind of had about 106 of the 110 decided about a week ago. Kind of have gotten to a point where we're going to be at 109, waiting on a couple more kids to see how their status turns out. But for the most part, I think Mark Meyer's done a good job getting everybody healthy, and it's all hands on deck. There's really nothing new to report.
Maurice Washington, when will he be able to join you guys?
Maurice will be here this afternoon.
And then Dominic Watt, do you have an update on what you may be waiting on at this point?
We're still waiting on Dom. We feel real positive about it. Actually, we feel real positive that it could happen really quickly. Both those kids did a great job going to work and trying to get done what they needed to get done. They've had some really smart and good people kind of shepherding them through the process to make sure that they got finished. Jamie Vaughn and the rest of compliance have been great to work with, and they've done a great job with situations like that. So getting Maurice here was big for us, and we're hopeful that it won't be long with Dom.
Is Mikael Wilbon, is he on the camp roster for you guys?
Yeah, Mikhail's going to be in camp. Yep, absolutely.
You talk about off-season momentum. The sense that there's so much that has been talked about. It's really positive. There's a lot of energy and excitement among the fan base. How do you get your players to shut all that out, including us, and just focus on getting better day after day after day? Do you think that'll be a challenge, or are there things that you're going to try that you didn't have to try in Orlando because maybe there wasn't as much spotlight on it?
Yeah, there's several of us in the building that have lived that. This can be a really an environment where people are talking all the time, an environment where those things can be distractions. I had to learn personally not to read the paper, obviously, when I was playing. Praise and blame's all the same. They're usually both frauds. Neither one of them are probably the truth. You get more blame when you probably don't deserve it, and you get more praise when you probably don't deserve it. We'll continue to teach our guys those lessons. I'm sure Barrett Ruud lived it. I'm sure Matt lived it. Greg Austin, some of the guys that played here, they played in that fishbowl. And we'll educate the guys about that. But any excitement we have around our program is positive. And I don't want it to be created excitement or phony excitement. I want people to be excited because we're doing things the right way. I think our players are excited because they can see things are being done the right way. Now we just need them to believe it.
Is there a jump even from spring ball to what they're about to experience in a Scott Frost training camp that's even more intense and higher paced than what they experience in spring or the summer?
No, it's not going to be more intense than spring. I want them to be 100% all the time. I don't think we accomplished that in spring, so maybe it will be more intense if we get more guys to buy into that. I'm going to tell them in a team meeting here shortly. This spring, there were some practices where they went out and went to work, and they were all business, and they got better. And there are other ones that we kind of mailed in a little bit. Not completely, but I just didn't see the energy and enthusiasm we needed. Practice 1, when we got here, the energy was off the charts. Saw that dip and decline. We don't have time for that this fall. So if we get 100% out of guys more often, it'll be more intense. But honestly, training camp's about getting us as prepared as we can without running our guys into the ground. So we'll be smart from that perspective.
You have some new arrivals in the secondary since the summer. How eager are you for that competition to get pushed even further with some new guys in the room?
We knew one of the issues once we got here and kind of examined the roster was our depth in the secondary. I think we've done a good job in the offseason putting pieces together to try to improve that. Really excited about some of the kids that are here. There's a couple true freshmen, several true freshmen, transfer, a junior college transfer. If those guys are what we think they are, I think it'll help us a bunch there. But I'm excited for competition at every position. We're going to create opportunities to compete. Practice itself should be a competition, a friendly competition. But those are the pieces of practice where we need to turn up the intensity. And DB is no different than quarterback or kicker or any other position. We're going to go to work evaluating them from day one of this fall camp and make sure we have the right guys on the field.
How do you feel about your O-line leaving the spring and where they're at right now? Did they take to the tempo like you hoped they would? And what's got to improve there, I guess?
Yeah, I was really pleased with the O-line in spring. I thought they went to work, got a lot better. Coach Austin's as good as there is. I've seen him take a group that had underperformed and turn them into a dominant position group for us. I think we got some really good talent there. I think we got some really good attitudes and some good leadership with Gerald Foster and others. Depth could be an issue there too. We need to stay healthy at several positions. Offensive tackle is one. We need some young guys at offensive tackle to step up and prove to us that they're ready to play, and I hope they will. But feel good about where we are coming out of spring and looking forward to seeing those guys get even more aggressive and play better.
How will you handle captains this August? Will you name captains, or are you still going to kind of maybe do an approach where you have different guys rotating in?
We'll address that with the staff when we get close. I want to make sure that the guys that are representing us on the field before the game are guys that have earned it and deserved it, and we'll see how many we have before game one. Our MO in Florida was to have a leadership council and rotate guys that were captains for games off that leadership council. That's not how it's been done here, and I'm going to be really careful not to break too many traditions. So I think as the first game comes up, we'll make a decision on how we're going to approach that.
When you're talking about competition and sort of when you start camp, in terms of where guys start, is it based on sort of where they left off in the spring, or how much input do you take from the strength staff in the summer and how you start guys out?
Yeah, we treat our strength staff like they're full-time assistant coaches because they are. Zach Duvall spends more time with our players, and Jason Carlson and Andrew Strope, they spend more time with our players than we do. Particularly in the summer when we can't be around them. So their input had a lot to do with who's in the 110. Probably won't have anything to do with the depth chart. But to me, it doesn't matter who takes the first rep or the first practice in the fall. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be similar to the way it left off in spring. But that's just a taking off point, and we'll get to the crux of it from there once guys earn it and beat everybody else out.
Coach, how would you rate the competition right now for the starting quarterback position, and how do you plan to observe it going into the next practices to decide to make a decision?
How would I characterize the status of the quarterback competition?
Like how close would you say it is, or how are you going to observe it going into the next practice?
Have you ever played Monopoly?
Yes.
And you know how the race car and the horse and the iron and the battleship are all on go to begin with? Everybody's on go right now. We might even roll a dice to see who can roll a 6 and take the first rep. We'll see.
How are you guys evaluating the running back position? What are you looking for in fall camp? And maybe what does Maurice Washington bring to that competition?
Yeah, I know Maurice Washington was a great high school player, and I know he's a talented kid, but I have no idea what he's going to bring to the table. We'll see how prepared and ready he is and how quickly he learns things. We got some good depth at the running back spot, and that gives me a lot of confidence. I think several guys had good springs. We need to stay healthy there too, but feel good about where Trey Bryan is. He's going to be added to that mix, and then with Maurice coming in, I think Miles Jones will take reps in the slot as well as at running back. So, hey, as many reps as we get in practice, the guys that run a lot, DBs, receivers, running backs, if you don't have a lot of guys taking the reps, you end up with some minor injuries. So I'm glad we have the depth we have, and it'll sort itself out.
Back to the quarterback for a second. How much of an advantage is it to have a coach on your staff that's not the quarterback's coach and the offensive coordinator, but just specifically focused on that one position? I know you have a lot of confidence in Mario Badusco, but that's like his job. He's not also calling plays, that's your job. And Coach Walters is the offensive coordinator. So how much of an advantage is it to just have a guy that has his eyeballs on that one spot?
I think it's a huge advantage. You know, I was a offensive coordinator and quarterback coach, and there's a lot of work to get done to get quarterbacks ready to play. There's also a lot of work that an offensive coordinator has to do, and sometimes juggling those things is tough. I think it makes it easier to have an offensive-minded head coach. I think if it was on the defensive side and you were trying to do both, it would be a lot. But when we game plan, it's all of us. You know, it's not just Troy, it's not just me. Greg and Coach Beck and several other people have input, and that makes it easy. And then we can all just focus on our own jobs and come together and collaborate for that. Mario is as good a quarterback technician as anybody I've ever been around, and Troy's great at organizing everything for us. We work really well in tandem with one another.
Scott, with Trey Bryan, is he needs to sort of start to work back in? How do you balance getting him the work that a player needs to get ready for a season, and then also keeping him healthy?
Yeah, it's not just Trey, it's a lot of guys. Anybody else with anything that's a little bit nagging or coming in not quite 100%, we need to be smart with them. I think that was the plan for him before, and I don't know if it worked out that way, but I'm just going to have to be really attentive to what's going on, listen to Mark Meyer, listen to Zach Duvall, make sure they keep me up to speed on how he's feeling, and as long as he's ready to play when it's his time, I'll feel good about it. So he'll be able to share reps with all those other guys, and we'll really take it as it goes and see how he feels from day to day.
Scott, because you're a new staff and a difficult schedule, there's kind of a narrative out there that this is the dreaded rebuilding year. What's your senior class saying about that? Are they going to guys and saying, hey, we don't have time for that, this is it for us?
I hope that's what they're saying. That's why I'm going to address the team and tell them it's time to prove it, it's time to show it, now's the time. If we have anybody going into the season think this is going to be a rebuilding year, we're not going to accomplish as much as if we attack it. It's a natural progression when you have a team that is coming off a tough season that you have to first get them thinking they can win, and then get them knowing they can win, and then getting them to expect to win. And I'm not sure where we are in that process right now, but confidence and self-efficacy and believing it can get done is a big part of success. And sometimes confidence only comes when you experience success, so I hope we have some early.
How hard is it to balance something like that, where you have talked about you don't want this to be a quick fix, you want it to be a long-term rebuild with players like Mick and Luke going out the door after the season? What's the balance been like with the coaching staff trying to get the message that we want to win this year? It's not just a long term.
I don't think that message needs to be said. We have guys on the coaching staff that are as competitive of guys as you'll find anywhere. You guys that don't like to lose at pickup basketball or anything they do. And talking to the guys, I think if you asked them how hard we worked them this off season, I don't think there's any thought in any of their minds that we're looking past this year. We're looking at today, and today we're going to have a meeting, make sure we get some sleep, and then we're going to be looking at tomorrow when we wake up, and we're going to attack that and try to conquer it.
Scott, you know offhand how many freshman walk-ons you have on the 110 per team?
I'd have to count quick in my head, but there are several that are going to get an opportunity. I couldn't tell you that number, being honest, right now.
Other questions for Coach?
Do you have a status update on whether North Edgeville could potentially get a media down the field?
We're still trying to decide, I think, whether we're going to push for that or not. We'd love to see Noah be able to play. I know what he can do on a football field, and he's been as good a teammate this offseason and worked as hard as anybody in our program. So we'll go to bat for him, just like we'll go to bat for any player if we have an opportunity to.
Trey Bryant only played 6 quarters last year. Did he get a red shirt for last year, since he only played in 6 quarters?
I don't know that. I'll have to look into that.
He's a junior now, but he could still be a sophomore technically.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Typically, you have to miss 2 seasons because of injury to be awarded a 6th season. So,
He have a red shirt in his freshman year.
yeah, we'll look into that. Get back to me on that.
Which right now, will he be here once he's like officially graduated from UCF?
He's officially graduated. We were waiting on verification of that from UCF. He's a great kid. He did great things for UCF when I was there. I think he graduated and wanted an opportunity here, and we're glad to have him. He played a big role in what we were able to accomplish, and I think he'll be up and ready to go practice 1.
You had mentioned the Big Ten Media Days. You're still getting to know the team because, you've had a lot to digest and go through. Are there things that you try to do in those first couple of weeks to kind of try to figure out everybody's names? You got 110 guys in camp and 140 on the roster. Are there little ways in which you try to get to know some of those guys?
Well, when you're around people all day, every day for 4 weeks, if you have any kind of memory, you have it down by the end of that. But just to give us a little help, they put numbers on the front and back of jerseys now. So I'm not sure, but I might use that as a tool.
Scott, you guys had the players have area codes on the helmets at UCF. Is that something that could be employed here as well?
Yeah, maybe. The guys took a lot of pride in that. You play first and foremost for the name on the front of your jersey, your team, and guys take pride in playing for the name on the back of their jersey, their family. But a lot of young men have a lot of pride in where they come from too. So I'm fine with it if that's a decision that the team makes.
Anything else for Coach?
What can you tell us, Leslie, about JD's feeling? Is he ready to go for the fall, and what kind of boost can he give to the receiver?
Yeah, JD had a great freshman year. Obviously, excited about his potential in our offense. I think our offense is a great fit for him. That's a great lead-in for me to make sure and just emphasize the point. We're not going to talk a lot about injuries during the year, and it's for no other reason than I want to keep our kids safe, and I don't want it out there as much as we can keep it in-house if somebody has a little something wrong with them. So going forward, as we get closer to games, there won't be much update on that. Unless somebody's out for the season, then obviously we'll report that. But we'll answer that now. JD's ready to go and feel good about him being full speed.
Coach, do you have any reaction to what's going on over at Ohio State?
No, it's just unfortunate. I think everybody would agree with that. I think our thoughts and prayers need to be with everyone, particularly any victim of anything like that. But, it's not my place to comment on something that's happened in another university. And just hope everybody that's been affected by that lands in a good place.